What's happening, gang? I hope this message finds everybody well. On today, our next video for the Stay Strong Collective YouTube channel, what I'm going to go over is the prep for the Whitton challenge. When you get this video, I'd already just done it, so fingers crossed I'll be okay. What I'm going to talk around is my nutrition strategies and actually how you're going to utilize them from a macro standpoint and what kit that I'm going to be using, and also some sort of primers in relation to what I'll be doing leading up to the race. Second part of the sort of the mindset training stuff that we're going to go over is understanding how to implement mindset with taking action. Now, that is going to be hugely important for those who've listened to all the principles. They seem to be very motivated. They want to be successful, but they just don't understand the tools and tasks that they need. So first things, as mentioned last week, the Whitton challenge, 180K, 112 miles around the Lake District. It's going to be brutal. I've seen some of the pictures and now I'm kind of intimidated. The main thing for me to us to start thinking about here are actually the amount of energy that I'm going to expend in a day. Now, as you mentioned, if you guys have watched the marathon video, I will consume between 60 to 90 grams of carbs per hour. My body will be burning anywhere between 600 to 900 calories an hour off data, off a watch. What we will be doing in a later video is I'm actually going to go and get some metabolic testing done. So we're actually going to see whether these devices actually work in relation to the amount of calories I burn compared to having a mask on. And what I need to do in that situation is I need to understand there's obviously convenience, and I've got to think about from a gut perspective of not proverbially shitting myself. Again, as mentioned, so what I'll do is I'll show you the actual kit that I'll be using and why I'm going to be using the stuff that I'm using. To the second part, and the second part that we talked around here is actually developing an elite level mindset, or be able to take action on those principles that you've talked around from a mindset perspective. Now, what that actually means is it's called your trademark behavior. And what I learned the elite edge principle is what I learned from Gareth Timmins, 0.1%, fucking banging book. And trademark behaviors are the things that you set in your life that are non-negotiables. What I have is I've got 12, I built a framework that I've got non-negotiable behaviors across my mind, body, business, and my leadership skills as a role model. And what that means is I actually have the ability to tick them off. The problem with any sort of principle-based psychology or neurology, or whatever you want to call it, mindset principles, they are all grey areas. They're feelings. They're in moment sort of assumptions. They're not necessarily like I've pulled double body weight deadlift. I can see you do it. It's done. Actually, you feeling not overwhelmed is a real-time process, and that's one of the problems that we have when it comes down to actually developing mindsets. Is the way that you develop it is through exposure. You develop all these sort of skills for the more that you actually implement and the more that you actually do in comparison to the more. There's too many coaches or leaders or people that are looking into self-development, and they're too busy looking at self-development books rather than actually taking action on the ones that matter, taking action on the behaviors that are going to actually push them forward, or actually not be paralyzed by the amount of information that's out there, and instead being a bit stubborn and ruthless with who you listen to and moving forward. So how do you find a trademark behavior? Very, very simple. There's three key principles that you need to understand as a person. Again, enter whatever realm you're in, whether you're a coach, athlete, leader, mum, dad, whatever you want to be known as. And what you need to firstly understand is your value system. What do you actually value as a person? And values are what actually show up in your life. Values are not emotional words like relentless or integrity. Those are actual actions as a person. What actually shows up in your life as a value system is the most important thing. For me, my number one trait, my number one value is connection. The next one's education and exploration. Connection with, obviously, with the people that I work with my wife, obviously with my ginger twat of a dog, my family, the connection with my clients, the connection with the process, because I'm very self-mastery driven. It's massively important to me. The next one is understanding your drivers. Now, drivers are the next piece of motivation. Motivation is a thought process of doing something. Drivers are the thing that's pulling you towards it. There's two types of motivation. You've got pull motivation and push motivation. Push motivation is someone pushing you to do it, or something pushing you to do it, which is usually a need, i.e., we use a weight loss analogy. If you're a fat fucker and nearly had a heart attack, that's when you're going to get, because you've been abusing yourself, that's when you're going to get problems. The need and the push is because your health's deteriorating. Pull motivation, on the other hand, is usually more long-term. Pull motivation relates to your why. and the what and the reason being of why you're doing something. So what you need to understand is from a driver's perspective is what actually drives you, what drives your mechanism, and what actually keeps you in the game long term, what keeps you moving forward. And there are a few different tests for that. I can link them in the show notes, but the show notes in the YouTube, the notes underneath, or just drop a comment. I'll send you a couple of tests that you can do. You can understand what sort of personality testing. There's obviously stuff like a DISC assessment and stuff, but I actually use The Art of Coaching as a great reference. Brett Bartholomew's work, he does a driver's test. I give it to all of my consulting clients. And lastly, what you need actual actions. So actions that you can do on a daily basis that are definition of done. And definition of done means they're ticked off. They're a ticked off list. They're a physical thing for you to do, rather than what a lot of the time what we get are people doing willy-nilly, frilly goals that are actually grey in substance. They actually haven't got they haven't got an end point. They haven't got a tick list I've finished. And that's why they find it difficult to maintain those level of habits. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope that from the last previous video we talked around actually developing mental resilience and actually how to leverage it. What this is now hopefully doing is showing you that you actually sync to the levels of your training, you sync to the levels of your systems, you sync to the level of what you do, why you do it, your standards, who you want to represent, what you want to fight for. All those big things aren't necessarily big actions. What they are is ruthless executive consistency. Just like putting cash in the machine at a fun fair ride where you're trying to get those 2p's out, or whether you're investing in the stock market or whatever, your non-negotiable trademark behaviors are not massive. They're all about compound interest. And that is something that's massively important if you're trying to elevate your performance, whether you're trying to grow yourself, compete at the highest level, grow a business that you want, take the plunge and actually go into a venture that's scary. All those big things come from those non-negotiables. Anyway, next piece, what I'll do is I'm going to go through all my kit. I'm going to show you what I'm doing for the Whitton challenge. And again, sort of the behaviors that I'll be heading into that race and what we're going to do with them. Right, gang, a little bit of once over for my kit. What I'll do is I'll go through a bit of in-race nutrition, give you a little bit of understanding around that, about how I'm going to sort of operate during the race. Obviously, before the race, we talked about I'm going to be doing carbohydrate loading 2 days before as prefer, 3 times in the amount of carbohydrate I usually eat. So I'll be ingesting around 600 to 700 grams on the move, excuse me. The difference is though, being away is a lot harder to do that sort of carbohydrate loading because you actually haven't got convenience, and getting that much in is a lot. I mean, I use bagels, a prime example of something that I'm using on the day. There's about 45, these have got 45 grams of carbs. Sorry, they've got 41 grams of carbs in per one. In the morning, for example, I'll be having 2 of these with peanut butter. This is goat peanut butter, by the way. Reason why I use fat. Some other people say don't use fat. Me personally, when I take in a lot of carbs quickly, I have huge energy fluxes. And what I want to do first thing in the morning is actually, 1, line my stomach a little bit, 2, slow that digestive process down so I have the ability to actually to maintain a more stable blood sugar. But 3, slow the digestion down. I don't want to be hungry as soon as I hit the race because that would fucking be annoying. So I'll be having 2 bagels with peanut butter. If I can have some eggs, that'd be brilliant. A shake, and that should be about it, to be honest. And also, I know this is not a big, don't judge me. We haven't got any saurine. We've got the Aldi version, but just shut up about it. I get it. Yeah, still tasty. I'll be chopping this whenever I can. We're unsure of whether during the race I'm going to be able to have any pit stops with Rach. So I think we're pretending no. There's 2 food stations, but fuck knows what's on there. So I like taking it out of their control. Before the race, the biggest thing that is the most important to me, and it should be to you too, is hydration. Now I use Precision Hydration 1500 milligram sodium tablets. These are fucking banging. The more salty, the better. Other people use LMNT. I love LMNT as well. But point is that salt, sodium, and obviously magnesium, potassium, the electrolytes in general help maintain everything in relation to hydration, but more chemical processes in the body, actual nerve transmission, and what we were trying to do is maintain homeostasis and not have this sort of build-up of lack of minerals to produce energy. And that's what hydration is. Hydration is not about how much water you have, it's how much you actually absorb. So very, very important. During the race, what I'll be going through is I'm aiming between 8 and 9 hours. So obviously that's, we mentioned before, is I have around 60 to 90 grams of carbs per hour. In my bottles, I'm having 2 800 milliliter bottles, so 1.6 liters of liquid. I'll be using this Precision Hydration carb powder. This carb powder, or carbohydrates I'll be ingesting in general, are multifaceted in relation to types of carbohydrate in there. You have different types. Obviously, you've got like your fructose, which is fruit sugar. You've got maltodextrin, cyclic dextrin. You've obviously got disaccharides, polysaccharides, etc. Whatever. You don't need to know all that. What you need to do is you need to be having more than one type of carbohydrate per feed. Reason why is you've got different receptors in your stomach. You don't want to overload one of them. Me personally, I work really, really, really well on maltodextrin or cyclic dextrin and a fructose mix, which precision hydration is, which is really good. And it's also got a lot of sodium in it too. So I'll be ingesting during the race. I'm going to be ingesting mainly gels. So I've got gels that are same again. They're maltodextrin and fructose based. I've also got ones that are caffeine and non-caffeine. Caffeine, obviously, from a stimulant perspective, just keep me awake. I will be going up a 30% incline. But anyway, I've also got energy bars. This is just like a sugar bar. Nothing special there. But this is my favorite, Cliff bars. These are calorie dense. They're obviously are satiating too. You get to a point where you're having so much sugar that you want just some normal food. In that point, I'm going to take one of them. So I'm probably going to have 2 gels and then a solid. I'm also carrying a pack of, again, goat sweets. Tell me a better sweet than Haribo Fantastic, innit? If I can, I'm going to have these on my person. I've actually got I've bought like a Mary Poppins. It's not a Mary Poppins bag. It's like a little bag, which actually looks a bit like this. It's on my bike currently. That's going on the front. That's actually just a zip up. And I'm going to have all my food in there because I can't carry anything else. I've got 2 bottles of water and I've got, you'll see in a second, we'll go into my kit. Obviously using a normal jersey. I said for a long time I'd never be a Lycra wanker until you actually wear Lycra, and it's fucking amazing and you need to. So you'll understand, as mentioned before, this video I'm using is to try and educate people who are just like me, who are not full endurance athletes full time, who are transitioning, want to do their first Ironman triathlon, want to start learning around the process of it, or coaches who want to learn how to program for that, because I'm a big, strong, firm believer that you can't coach something that you haven't done. I'm a strength and power athlete. I've been a professional sportsman in rugby. I've done jiu-jitsu. I've also fought in jiu-jitsu. So I coach a lot of athletes in that contact sport realm. I also talk around, I work with a lot of tactical units and stuff. But endurance is one, from a health benefit standpoint, and 2, from a competition standpoint, I'm doing it. So I'm learning on the move. I'm investing in my education to do so. So this, again, reason for the video. So I use Rafa or Lacole. Lacole are great too. I actually prefer them in hindsight, but this is just some kit and it's fucking expensive, so I don't go spend too much. It's got pockets in the back, so I can put some gels in there, and I can put my phone or whatever I want to in the front, in the back of it. Also, to know, obviously you need your shorts, or these are actually longs. Longs is for warmth. I used to be that guy when I first started. I was like, I'm never going to wear one of those fucking nappies, until I did an hour ride and nearly gave myself a proverbial hemorrhoid. I didn't give myself a hemorrhoid, but my point is you pay for what how good your kit is. I would strongly recommend, if you're going to do this sport, is invest in at least 1 pair of good stuff, because it's really important. Other things I've got a buff which I use for my neck. This can go on your face. I know, like a bit of a hooligan with a skull on it, but it goes around your neck if it's cold, but also for sunburn. I'm a ginger twat and I'll burn. And also I've got my underbike hat, which I actually wear, very dashing, obviously. As most of Brad Foster say, this stops ice cream head. But this is also great in that I find this is very helpful in the sun, because it actually absorbs sweat. Normal helmet, a good helmet, invest in a good helmet. Again, your noggin, even though I've got a massive head, your noggin is the most important thing. A couple other pieces to note. I've got a Polar OH1 heart rate monitor, which links to my Garmin 830. It basically all talks to each other. It tells me my routes and everything that I need to know. I also have this connected to my watch. It actually means it's a lot more accurate, so to speak. Obviously, the visors, we know about these in every video that I've got at the moment. I love these. They make me a triathlete, obviously. And from the 2 other pieces of equipment that were going to be very massively important, if you guys know, chamois or chamois cream, the most important piece in my eyes. I used to, again, be that guy. I was like, I am never going to be that dude putting grease on my plums to make sure that I don't get sore, until you get fucking sore and get in the shower. Then you'll know. You'll be basted in this like you're putting it on a bloody primer on a building. You literally put a whole hand in there. It's minging, it's horrible, but to stop sores, strongly recommend this stuff. Athletic Performance, not affiliated. really easy, comfortable, not too invasive. Well, it is invasive, but it's important to do. And lastly, obviously, for guys who don't know, you need to have cleats. You can, mountain bikers use trainers. The reason why you have cleats is because on the revolution, so when you're going back, when you're pulling your heel back, you use your hamstring. But for me, I've actually got, because I had a major knee injury and I snapped my leg in half, I haven't got full control of my left leg. So what I have, these cleats are actually really soft in my pedals. It means I can actually kick my foot out really easily without getting stuck because I haven't got the sort of neural capacity to be able to do so. So you don't have to get these exact cleats, but they are very, very helpful. And last thing, as I mentioned, I didn't mention this, is a little rain mac, purely just in case it rains because it's fucking England, which I hope I don't need to use, but it just packs away nicely and this will go in the front of my bag on the front. I think that is everything. So I hope that's very helpful, guys. Any questions around your nutrition, any questions what you need in relation to what kit that I use? Again, I'm not a professional, but this is what I've anecdotally used and through friends and people that I'm learning from. And stay tuned. You're obviously going to be catching this after I've completed the Fred Whitton. I'm going to then talk around actually how I actually did in the challenge, what we actually learned, what I need to sort of do for the next race, because the next race is literally double the distance of it. And then we're actually in the middle of preparing to do half iron. So again, that's going to be the next thing. Hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching. Any feedback, more than welcome, and have an awesome time. Cheers.